President Trump posting earlier this hour that Israel would not attack Iran, that all of the planes that were in the air would turn around and nobody would be hurt. But there are reports just in the last few minutes that say Israel just attacked a radar station in Iran. Joining us right now to kind of sort through all of this and see where we stand right now is Michèle Flournoy. She is the co-founder and managing partner of consulting firm WestExec Advisors. That's a strategic partner of Teneo. She served as Under Secretary of Defense for policy in the Obama administration. And Michèle, let's just talk about what we've heard this morning. Some pretty amazing footage that we saw from the president himself as he was preparing to leave for NATO, where he expressed frustration and anger at both sides of this conflict. But he was far more pointed in his criticism of Israel, probably because of what the United States has just done in the last couple of days to help Israel's point and to try and keep Iran from actually acquiring nuclear weapons. What do you make of what you've seen and heard this morning?
Yeah, well, I think the United States is right to put pressure on both sides to comply with the ceasefire, but it's not uncommon for there to be early violations and confusion as ceasefires are being put in place, particularly when you consider the damage that's been done to Iran's military chain of command, their communication systems. You've got leaders dispersed and hiding in different places. So, not terribly surprising that there were some early violations, but I think the United States is absolutely right to now put pressure on both Iran and Israel to get the ceasefire in place going forward.
We don't know exactly the timeline for some of these things. We did hear from the president earlier this hour that the planes had turned around. We got reports just in the last 10 minutes or so that this radar station had been bombed, apparently somewhere near Tehran. Would you chalk that up to the message still getting passed down the line, or do you think there's something else here?
No, I think that there's, once things are in motion, very much harder to stop them in the middle of a strike, for example. But I think the focus now should be when Israel's whatever their counterattack is complete, to really put pressure on both sides to stop. There are really two key questions here about where this is going to go long term. The first is, what's our assessment of how much damage was actually done to Iran's nuclear program, both the facilities themselves, which were bombed, but also the stockpile of enriched uranium. We don't know if that was moved. We don't know how much of it was destroyed, how much of it was protected. So I think that is a huge question that will determine whether Israel in particular will feel that it can live with a ceasefire and negotiations, or whether they will have pressure to resume if the battle damage assessment is not as positive as they hope. The second question is, does Iran come to the negotiating table more seriously than it did before? And again, if negotiations seem to be in good faith and they're considering real limits on their nuclear program going forward, that will lead us down one path. But if they hem and they haw and they avoid and they dissemble, and it seems that it's going nowhere, then again, this may not be over. You could imagine a situation where if there is still nuclear key elements of the program intact, key material stockpiles still intact, and negotiations are going nowhere, you could imagine Israel feeling compelled to restart the conflict. So I understand that we all want to a big sigh of relief today with the ceasefire, but this is far from over as yet.
Michèle, I understand those are the key questions, but it seems almost impossible to get answers that can be verified anytime soon on either of those fronts.
It's going to take some time. So in the meantime, the things to watch are the two sides complying with the ceasefire, and is Iran willing to come to the negotiating table? Again, those things we can expect sooner rather than later, but you're right, it's going to take some time before we have an accurate intelligence assessment of the damage to facilities and the state of the stockpile.
I mean, how do we even get that? Are we anticipating that Iran's going to say, come on in, come take a look at Fordo, come take a look around?
I doubt that. I do think, well, certainly we'll learn some things from national technical means like satellite imagery, possibly signals intelligence, hearing communications among Iranian officials. Israel has other intelligence operatives on the ground. So it will be using all the different intelligence means to try to piece together some picture of what we think was accomplished through the strikes.
Israel has Mossad on the ground. We know they have their intelligence gathering. Does the United States have any? And do you trust what the Israeli intelligence tells us?
Well, I'm no longer privy to know what exactly we have on the ground. But I think historically, you're right, Israel has had very good contacts there. And again, I think it'll be a process of comparing what we know, what they know, and coming to some determination of what we trust and what we believe to be true. But I think the main message for many of your listeners is, we at WestExec and our partners at Teneo, we're talking to leading CEOs every day, helping them to figure out, is it safe for their people to go back into the region? What can we expect in terms of opening of airspace or impacts on supply chains? This is still a good time to dust off your contingency plans, to exercise those plans, to really make sure that if there is a next round, you're ready and you're prepared for whatever may come.